Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today is July 2nd, 2024, and let's get to the news happening in Ukraine, shall we? So this is going to be a very quick update, and first I want to speak about another Ukrainian drone attack, likely to be a drone attack on a Russian base in Kursk today. So based on this image that you can see on the left, this is following the attack. A massive cloud of smoke came out as a result of this attack, and apparently this is Russia's Central Aviation Technical Military Base in Kursk that was attacked. You can see that based on this satellite image, Russia had a few military trucks, what appears to be military trucks, and perhaps even air defense systems that were stationed in this base. So I think that this was a very high value target. The Ukrainians knew what they were striking, and hopefully in the future, in the next couple of days, we'll get a confirmation that indeed most of these trucks and other high-value military assets that the Russians had in this base were destroyed. Ukraine is not just attacking for nothing. Now, the next news I want to present to you guys, and it's a mix of good and bad. So, great news is that the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin hinted that the United States will provide an additional $2.3 billion, yes, billion dollars in security assistance to Ukraine in the next few weeks. So this will include anti-tank weapons, interceptors, munitions for Patriot, and other air defense systems. So really a huge, massive package. This is the biggest one, I think, since the war started. I don't remember the United States providing so much foreign aid at once. So this is really great. And one thing I want to mention here is that also there's reports today officially the Ukrainian spokesperson for the Air Force, Ukraine Air Force, confirms that Ukraine will fly officially within this month the first F-16s, and their primary objective for this month will be mostly to hunt down Russian missiles. So they will be very careful as to not fly them too close to the border, because indeed we know that Russians are definitely going to prioritize the F-16s for their, basically their propaganda. As we've seen last year, the Russians spun it so many times when they managed to unfortunately stop a Ukrainian attack during the counteroffensive in early June. If you guys remember, it was like a convoy of Ukrainian Bradleys, about 7 or 6 of them, and 2-3 Leopards that were destroyed as a result of this Ukrainian attack. And the Russians just constantly, over the next few weeks, continuously spread, these images and videos, constantly reutilizing them and recycling them for their propaganda. So unfortunately, this is going to be a situation as well with the F-16s. We have to admit that they're still vulnerable machines. The F-16s are not the panacea. They're not this ultimate weapon that will bring down Russia, that will help Ukraine in achieving greater success in their objectives, their military battles. But of course, when we're talking about only 12 F-16s for now, about a dozen that Ukraine will receive within the summer, it's not enough, right? But of course, the Russians will prioritize these F-16s to make sure that they can claim great victories and, more propaganda for their own population. So Ukraine needs to be very careful, especially because of what happened this weekend in Mirhorod. So Mirhorod is a city in the Poltava oblast in Ukraine, and there is a very important military airfield there. And unfortunately, the Russians were able to use ballistic missiles to destroy a few Su-27s and I think a Ukrainian helicopter as well over the airfield. If we're looking at the map, I will share with you guys the map. Mirhorod is located about 150 to 200 kilometers away from the border with Russia. So not really a difficult target for the Russians. What was surprising is that they were able to fly a reconnaissance drone very far away from, their own territory, all the way up to Poltava, unnoticed by the Ukrainians, and then being able to direct fire on this military airfield, right? Because it was able to confirm the air assets the Ukrainians had present in this airfield in the south of the city. And then it's just a matter of a few minutes for the Russians to then launch their missiles and attack the airfield. And so unfortunately, we have to recognize that Russia has those capabilities. One thing that the Ukrainians have noted is that, even a few months ago, these reconnaissance drones were flying just a few hundred meters above in altitude. So it was easy to recognize them. But now they're able to fly them about 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers high in the air, which is much more difficult to find them, to see them, And so this allows the Russians to fly more secretly, being able to penetrate certain areas and then have more visibility over Ukrainian staging areas, military bases, and airfields. So unfortunately, I have to pass on the bad news as well, is that Russia has those capabilities. And so with the F-16s coming, Ukraine needs to be more careful. You cannot be careless. These are extremely expensive modern machines that Ukraine needs to prioritize and protect at all costs, because we know that with Russia's propaganda ability, to which a very effective propaganda, they will try to spread lies that look at the Ukrainians, they're incapable, they're not able to protect them. West, you're wasting your time. The United States, you're wasting your time providing them to Ukraine. They will just, we will discard of them and we'll destroy them very easily. So Ukraine needs to be careful. And, we've heard the reports that Ukraine apparently is building these underground structures for the F-16s. And I hope it's not in Mirhorod, because Mirhorod did not look ready a few days ago following this Russian attack. And I hope that for now, the Ukrainians will perhaps put them more in the west, further away from the front line. And for now, just test the water, see how they're functioning, how they're operating. I think that's going to be the right way of doing it, because, putting them right at the front line is going to be a huge mistake. And as we've seen, the Russians are able very effectively to strike even 200 kilometers away from the border. And I'm not surprised. They've been able to launch missiles all the way up to Western Ukraine and Lviv as well, albeit they don't have as many of these missiles, but they're able to do that, especially with Belarus, and Belarus being a trampoline for the Russians as well. They have multiple bases located here, so the Russians can also launch, whether it be jet fighters or missiles, from Belarus to Western Ukraine. So Ukraine needs to be very, very careful and make sure that everything is set up so the F-16s are safe. So you guys can let me know what you think about my comments here, but this is really, really important. Now, last but not least, let's go over the last news today. Let me switch the presentation. Yes, so let's get to it. Now, an interesting visit from Hungary. So Viktor Orban, our favorite Trojan horse within European Union, came to visit Zelensky today. And now he's mentioned that he's ready to agree on bilateral relations, that he's ready to support Ukraine's modernization of its economy, right? He's really making a lot of pro-Ukrainian comments, but that's really surprising from a president or government that's been mostly pro-Russian, right? They've been blocking everything left and right that is even remotely to help Ukraine. So we need to be very careful with this Trojan horse, and we need to be wary of his comments that now, Hungary somehow is now pro-Ukrainian, ready to help the Ukrainian people. I have to admit, dialogue needs to happen between, with pro-Russian governments, whether it be Hungary, Slovakia, even Turkey to a certain extent. We have India, which is pursuing a policy of non-alignment. China. Dialogue needs to continue happening, right? We cannot shut these doors. However, they are not to be trusted. And Hungary, as I've mentioned previously, threw Ukraine multiple times under the bus. So I believe that aside from all of these announcements from Zelensky and Orban, that now, he's also said that they're considering to do something with regards to a ceasefire. He's giving some proposals to Zelensky apparently to initiate a ceasefire. I think that the real purpose of this meeting was actually Orban coming with a message from either Putin or even Trump, right? Because we know that Orban actually met Trump a few months ago. So perhaps he came with a secret proposal to Zelensky. So we'll have to see what happens in the next few weeks. But definitely there were some other things discussed behind closed doors that we don't know of. And I think that perhaps this could be, a meeting that is also involving some messages being sent out by the Kremlin or by, Trump's administration or ex-administration, and himself as well. So you guys can let me know what you think here, but we need to be very careful with these, feel-good stories and now Hungary somehow pro-Ukrainian. I seriously doubt it. And I think that Viktor Orban is just pursuing this sort of very sly kind of political game, right? Where he's not aligning himself with anybody, but he's definitely more pro-Russian, but he's trying to win some cookies as well on the side if he can get some. So that's the update for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Actually, before I end this video, I just want to ask you guys if you wanted me to do another live stream. It's been a while. It's way overdue, and I was planning of doing a live stream next week or two. And if so, let me know in the comment section, so that way I know when to set it up. Next week or so, that's what I was thinking. So you guys can let me know again in the comment section. And again, a huge thank you for your support for my channel. I really am I'm very appreciative for your support, not only for this channel, but also to help the Ukrainians as best as you can. And I know that you guys are doing that. So huge thank you for that as well. Please, if you enjoy my content, like my video and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Slava Ukraini!